At this point, we know what a node is, and we've seen the different types of nodes. Specifically, we've seen that there are currently about 8 active nodes out there, of which we use 4 very commonly. But how do we know what node type we're dealing with at any given time in our code? Easy. Every node has a node type, node name, and node value property. We've already seen the use of node type. Remember, it contains a code, and that code identifies the type of node. For example, we saw that elements have a code of 1, comments have a code of 8, etc., etc. And I'm going to go over some examples with you in a sec. But before we see this in action, you need to understand family dynamics. Yep, I said it, family dynamics. What do I mean? Let's take some very simple code here. Just a body. Within the body, we've got a div, and within the div, we've got an h1 and an h2 tag. In the next section, we're going to be looking at traversing the DOM, and you need to understand how family dynamics work in the context of a DOM tree in order to truly master nodes. So this is a bit of a precursor, if you will. So here we've got our code. How do we represent this as a family, but in the DOM world? Well, we know family will consist of a parent, and this parent may have 2 children. Funny enough, I actually do have 2 little daughters. So there you go, you've got a parent and you've got 2 children. But we all know the parent also has a parent, don't we? So here we've got grandparents, we've got a parent, and we've got children. And likewise, nodes in the DOM are also referred to as parents, children, and siblings, depending on their relation to the other nodes in the tree. This is an important point to grasp. So in terms of the DOM world, how does this all look? Well, as you guessed it, the body would be the grandparent, the div would be the parent, and the 2 heading tags would be the siblings. Does that kind of make sense? Another important point to note is that depending on where we are looking at, that will determine whether the current node is the parent, the child, or the sibling. Let me show you what I mean by that. If we look at the parent and the 2 children, we know that the parent is the parent and the children are the children. That makes sense. If we then just look at the 2 children, we can say in the DOM world that the h1 tag and the h2 tag are siblings. But we can also look at things a bit differently, can't we? We've got this bearded man and we've got that old lady, and now she will become his parent. So now that body node will be regarded as a parent, and that div will be regarded as a child. So it's just quite interesting for you to bear in mind that it depends on what you're looking at as to whether that specific node is going to be called the parent or the child. I hope it's starting to make sense. But before we move on, let's just jump back to what we were talking about before, and that is identifying the type of nodes.